Supposing I am trying to speak on a topic like the Upanishad, this mantra. Whatever I am uttering through my words, through my mouth, it becomes manifest. That which has to be uttered is getting processed in my thinking. So, from my standpoint, it is already manifest. From your standpoint of experience, it is yet to be manifest. So, it has come to be but not yet expressed. That is called avyakta. From whose standpoint? From the standpoint of the individuality wherein it is not yet experienced it, but yet that which is already come to be from the standpoint of that Ishvara. Did I get across clearly? Right? So, from the standpoint of Ishvara, the moment there was that thought, it is already expressed. From the standpoint of the Jiva, it is not yet manifest because it is not yet experienced. So, that state wherein it was born of the tapas of Brahmaji, various Upanishads, various parts of the Vedic mantras, we come to see it. Hiranyagarbhas samavartatagre bhutasya jatah patireka asit. So there is a mention of it. Then satapotapyata satapastaptva idagam sarvam asarjata. That Brahmaji did a severe penance. See, when Brahmaji, where was he born? In the Nabhi of that Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. Vishnu, because you mentioned Vishnu, I have to create a distinction of understanding. Many of us synonymously use Narayana and Vishnu as one and the same. Technically, you will not be wrong. But when we are talking specificity of technicality, then they are different. That which in Vedanta Shastra we call it as the Nirguna, Nirakara, Parabrahma, Paramatma, that is also known as Sadashiva, Mahaganapati, Narayana. But that same Parabrahma Tattva, when it becomes Ishwaratva, where Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, they have job descriptions. One has to create, the other has to sustain, the other has to resolve or dissolve. That is Maheshwara. That job description is not there in Narayana. So, in that Narayana, Brahmaji is born. Where is he born? From his Nabhi, navel. Now, when you have, when we were reading Tattva Bodha, one amazing thing that Adi Shankaracharya ji has done, has given us Tattva Bodha. It becomes such a good reference point for everything that we discuss. So, in Tattva Bodha, he says that of the totality, the Nabhi Kshetra is where there is space, Akasha. Where can anything be born? Where there is Akasha. I am not using any other word for space, I am only using specifically Akasha. Akasha means Avakashat Akasha. That which gives room for anything to express. What am I holding? my fist. Now the same fist becomes the palm. Now the same palm now is recognized as fingers, right? Now what is the difference between all these three stages? I didn't realize that as soon as I pick my hand up with sudden motion, that the camera understands it as gestures given to it so that it starts zooming out. Suddenly it is. See, when there is a fist, everything is together. Now you are providing the space. Without that space, the fist cannot open up. That which provides that room for it to expand is called space. Now, further interjecting it with extended space, you start recognizing the differences. That the palm now has become distinct fingers. So, Akasha means avakash jo deta hai. Avakashat akashah. That which gives the probability of that to express as distinction, as separateness. That is called Akasha. So, the Nabhi Kshetra is the Akasha of that Virata Purusha. And from there was born Brahmaji. Now, that Brahmaji, he was like born, but nobody to tend to him. With that Vishal, all spread out Parabrahma Tattva in whose Akasha he was born, there was no immediate darshan of that Narayana. So he was like, मैं कहाँ पे आया? So he tried to turn right, there was a right side head. He tried to turn left, there was one more head. He tried to turn the back, there was one more head. And he tried to look up, there was one more head. At that time he had 5 heads, Panchanana. He had too much of processing, too little to process, therefore one processing unit was deleted. So from penta processing he became quad processor, 4 heads. That happens way later. Now with this 5 heads, Brahmaji is like, who am I? Why am I in this form and shape? What am I to do? Then he had a numeric number which was constantly beamed as a message to him. There were 2 sets of numbers that were given to him. You know, when we had pagers, we had 2 kinds of pagers. Numeric pager and alphanumeric pager. The first stage was a numeric pager. That you call that office and from that office they send this number is asking you to, they'll send the number. Now it is up to us to go call them. The nearest possible phone. Numeric. So first numeric code that came in, Brahmaji thought through and he aligned those numbers in the Akshara Varnamala. The first number reflected the letter Ta. The second number reflected the letter Pa. So seeing the message Tapa beamed to him, he started doing severe tapas. Satapo tapyata. Having done that tapas, then sa idagam sarvam asrujata. He created all of this. So there was first Ichha Shakti. Ichha Shakti was backed up with Jnana born out of tapas. Then Kriya Shakti came into being. That which was understood that was created. There is not much difference between the order of functioning of Ishvara and the order of functioning of Jiva. It is the same three things. For Ishvara, it is Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and then Kriya Shakti. Whereas for the Jiva, it is Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, then Jnana Shakti. Now, what is the difference? In Hindi, we say, जो पहले करे बाद में सोचे उसे मूर्ख कहते हैं. करने से पहले सोचना चाहिए ना. What does Jiva do? As soon as there is a desire, he jumps into the action, then later realizes, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, or I should have done it differently. Jnana happens later. And many people, in a very beautiful, fluent language, they say, life is that which gives you test first and then understanding later. You might have heard that, right? School gives you the knowledge first, then tests you later, whereas life gives you test first and then the knowledge. So, Ishvara is a sequential order, Jiva is a sequential disorder. What did Ishvara do? As soon as there was a desire, sa ikshata, there was a desire. And to support that desire, there was severe penance done. Born out of that penance was the knowledge, and through that knowledge, knowing, having that clarity, he created. Created what? First, there was the blueprint, the idea, the conception. And that idea or conceiving the concept, that is in the avyakta with respect to our viewing it. And with that, he created a prototype. I am using today's language so that it can be easily understood. It is called Mahat, it is called Hiranyagarbha, it is called Virata Purusha, various names for it. The representative of the entire totality put in together, a prototype was created. And an aspect of that prototyping is the 5 elements in their non-grossified expression came into being from that Virata. Virajo, Ajayata, Purusha Suktam also talks about it. Adhyaha, Prithvi, Prithivyam, Oshadhayaha, we have a sequence. So there, Akashat, from the Akasha, Vayu, from Vayu came the fire, from the fire came the water, from the water came the earth. If there is no space, where will be the movement called air? So, from the space came the air. From the air came to be the fire. Now, wherever there is movement, there can be friction. And in friction, heat is generated. Without movement, there cannot be friction. Without friction, there is no heat generated. So, the air is the representation of all movement. And in that movement, the friction, and the friction, there was fire. From the fire came out water. See, when I go for a walk, though in the morning it is very pleasant, when I go out for a walk, there is body heats up. And whenever body heats up, it translates to sweating. From the heat came the water. And by the time you come back home, sit down, you have produced water. Now, therefore, you have to replenish water. You are drinking, you have dried up. Now, wherever it has dried, when you run your hand, there is dirt that comes out. From water, calcified, the Prithvi is created. Now, I said it at an individual level. Imagine that at a totality level. So, the 5 elements were created. All the 5 elements here are represented with the word Adbhyaha. Adbhyaha, the 5 elements. Now, once the 5 elements got created, from those combination of the 5 elements to grossified 5 elements were created. The sattvic, rajasic, tamasic of the grossified elements, this entire creation came to being. This is like a revision of Tattva Bodha. You know that egg-shaped diagram? That is what I am indicating. Where? From Tattva Bodha. If this sequence is understood, right? Here he says that Guham pravishya tishthantam yo bhutebhir vyapashyata. Having thus created from the grossified the individuals who expressed as a body, mind and intellect as a conglomerate of it, as though, when I say as though, it is because the statement here says that Parabrahma Paramatma entered as the very core of that expression of body, mind and intellect. But it has to be understood properly in a sequence. That Parabrahma Paramatma is Sarva Vyapaka. Sarva Vyapaka meaning all pervasive. Therefore, whatever was created as the very essence, as the very core of that which was created, he already expressed as its dharma, as its core of being. Guham pravishtam yah tishthanti. So, that which was created, therefore, is the very core of it, the essence of it is verily that Paramatma. So, there are two aspects to understand. One, whenever in our Vedic Sanatana Hindu tradition we talk about creation, it is unlike the discussion that is done in various other religious texts about creation, where they have a sequence. Day 1 he created such and such, day 2 he created such and such, till day 6th he created such and such. Then on the 7th day he created the sun, and because he had for the first 6 days created, now he took rest on that 7th day. The resting day, each one claims to be a different day. The oldest one of those Abrahamic religions is the Jewish. They call it on a Saturday, Sabbath, the day of Sabbath. Then came the Christians, they claim it as Sunday. And later came the Islamic, they claim it as Friday, the day of rest. The rest of the sequencing is pretty much the same. And the chapter that talks about it is called Genesis. Genesis, that which is the origin of all of this. So, this was created. My question is, you say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. On the 7th day, the last day, you created the sun. How do you decide day 1, day 2, day 3? How do we decide? Movement of the sun, right? With the sunrise, we call the day. The sunset, we call the night. A set of day and night, ahoratra, is called one day, right? But if the sun was created on the last day, prior to that, how could you decide the day or night? Anyways, we will let that be for a different day of discussion. So, there is a sequence. Having thus created, this creation was given for the individuals created, this world to be enjoyed. So, where is he? Having thus created, given it to the creation, given it to the individuals of the creation to enjoy, he went and rested up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. He is in the heavens. That which he has created, he is not a part and parcel of the creation. Therefore, to worship that which he has created as the image of that God is belittling that God, therefore blasphemy. Therefore, either we are paganistic or heathen, that which we don't follow according to their understanding or tradition. Meaning, this world, things of this world, beings of this world cannot be equated to that supreme, that God. If you do, then you are belittling that God, it's a blasphemy. There lies the major confusion. Whereas in the Vedic Sanatana Hindu tradition, what do we believe? We say there are two concepts. They are not contradicting each other, but they have to be understood from two different standpoints. The first standpoint is, we believe that this Parabrahma Paramatma did not create, but instead he became the creation. Abhinna nimitta upadana karanatvat. He was the very efficient and he was the intelligence, he was the material, and he was the instrument for this creation, and he expressed as the creation. He expanded himself as the multitude of this creation. Therefore, we say, Kan kan me base Ram. Indugaladandulедani sandehamu valadu. Chakri sarvopagatundu. And where can he be found? Indegaladu. Right in your heart as the very essence of you. Meaning what? Every expression is the expression of that Paramatma alone. And every expression we can classify it into two very broad classifications. What are those two broad classifications? The two broad classifications are Jada and Chaitanya. Sthavara, Jangama. Chara, Achara. Akhanda Mandalakaram, Vyaptam Yena. Chara, Acharam. Chara, that which is mobile, that which is with Chaitanya. Achara, that which is Jada, in both aspects he is expressing. In that which is mobile, he is expressing as the Chaitanya Tattva. In that which is Jada, he is expressing as the Satguna Sampanna. Sat meaning the existential reality. The other is the conscious reality. Not that they are two. Consciousness is existence and existence is consciousness. In the Chaitanya, both the existential reality and the conscious reality are expressing, whereas in the Jada, only the existential reality is revealing. So, that which is the very essence, the core of the being, the closer we get to that core, the quieter is the mind, and the joy, which is its nature, reflects in the antakarana. Therefore, in the creation, when you see this creation as its core, meaning what? Whenever there is a spectacle in this creation, therefore, Bhagavan in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two chapters, 10th chapter and the 11th chapter. 10th chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga, 11th chapter is called Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga. The Vibhuti Yoga, again yesterday we saw when I explained Vibhum, that who is expressing as the multitude. Now, in that multitude, where do I recognize Bhagavan? Nakshatra Graha Taranam. You see in the moon. Prabhasmi Shashi Surya Yoho. I am that illumination in the Surya and the Chandra. Wherever there is that glory expressing, that glory is the very heart of it, the very essence of it, essence of that Paramatma. So we do wake up, and as soon as we wake up, one inevitable experience for every jiva is that you have to interact in the presence of that sun. Without that illumination, there cannot be any interaction. Are nahi Swamiji, I am a night watchman. Then there is Chandra. Chandra meaning the moon, in the moonlight. That light which is expressing through the Chandra and the Surya is the very essence of Chandra and Surya, and in there I am expressing as the essence of it. I am that Paramatma there. Like that, he enumerates the entire creation in the 10th chapter. This is trying to see that one principle in many. In the Vishwarupa Yoga, the entire sequencing is reversed. Earlier it was seeing that one in many. Now in Vishwarupa, seeing this many in one. So he created this creation. When we say in Hindu perspective, he became the creation. The first concept. The second concept, which we will take up further in the next mantra, but the concept is, in the Hindu scriptures, the idea of creation is not to prove that there is a creation. Therefore, the entire field of science deals with that which has already been created and try to identify why and how. That is science. But the perspective of the Hindu philosophy is not to establish that there is a creation created, but instead it is taken as the Aadhar, it is taken as the pointer to show that I, the conscious principle, is the very hub of this creation. Therefore, turn your attention to that core of your own being, you realize the substratum. Why? During the evening walk, during the sunset time, you went for a walk. There was a nice breeze. As you are walking, suddenly from the bushes, a snake leapt on you and you feel that it has taken a strike and bitten you. You panicking, scream, shout. The individuals next to you run to help, but then they are very, very mean people. Looking at you, they keep laughing. Why? Because that which you have perceived as a snake and the snake bite, when they come closer, they realize that because of the breeze, the rope that which was keeping the plant together became undone and it fell on you. But the movement of it came in such a way that you thought it was a snake. Now, the moment you see that there is no snake, it was just a rope which was imagined and visualized as a snake. Once the rope's astitva is decided, the snake's astitva is negated. Do you have to negate the snake bite? The effect of it. So, this entire creation is appearing as though real because it is only an apparent projection. Now, what Siddhanta has to be given to prove that appearance, which is only in appearance? To say that this is the creation and the creation has to be thus proven. It is a projection. What else can you prove about it? Nothing to prove. Therefore, the purpose of wherever the discussion is talking about creation is not to establish that there is a creation, is to only establish that you, the conscious principle, is the substratum. You are the very hub on which this creation is projected. Realize that, rest of it gets negated. Therefore, you see every Upanishad talks about a little different variation of the creative sequence. And then we say in our own scientific mindset that, oh, the Hindus did not know how this creation got created. No, that is not the purpose. The purpose was to prove that you, the conscious principle, is the substratum. Now, when it is understood that you are the very core, you are the very essence, you are the very hub unto which this multitude is being projected, where else do I have to go? Yes, for somebody who is still at a primitive stage, you need Devalaya, you need Tirtha Kshetra, you need Tirtha Yatra, all of this is fine. It is only to purify the mind, to come to realize that which I have been searching for in all these Tirtha Kshetras is verily my own essence, right verily in my own Guha heart, not anywhere else. Because where is that Paramatma in essence? As the very core of my own being, and that is where I have to lead my intellect to meditate upon. So, verily, this core of my being is that which you are asking, O Nachiketa. Meditate upon it, abide in it, realize it. Ye tat, vai tat. A very heavy concept, but hopefully I have communicated it properly. Now, the next mantra. या प्राणेन संभवति Aditir Devataamayi Guham Pravishya Tishthanti Ya Bhutebhirvyajayata. Continuing the same concept, therefore, I don't need to go into the rigorous details that I have given in the earlier mantra. Continuation of it, even those that are worshipped as the devatas, Aditir Devatamai, Ya Pranena Sambhavati, they are also dependent on this conscious principle expressing as that Hiranyagarbha, as that totality, and as an aspect of that totality are these devatas. What are these devatas? They are the presiding deities. Presiding deities of the five elements, organs of perception action, again taking us back to Tattva Bodha. Right? Very clearly he has given the entire list. Who are the presiding deities of what? Even these presiding deities, when expressed in different parts of the scriptures, they seem to change positions, but the point being given is that these grossness also express with their presiding deity. क्षीरोधन्वत् प्रदेशे शुचिमणिविलसत्सैकते मौक्तिकानां माला क्लुप्तासनस्थस्फटिकमणिनिभैर्मौक्तिकैर्मण्डिताङ्गः. I just chanted the Dhyana Shloka of Vishnu Sahasranama. In that, what is the description? The Virata Purusha, his eyes are Shashi Surya Yoho. The sun and the moon are his eyes. And the rest of the description. Similarly, Yatha Samashti Tatha Vyashti. The eyes are presided by the Surya and Chandra. The ears are by the Dig Devatas, the space. And the first time you hear it, it seems like such an absurdity. I clean my ears. I have not found any God there. My eyes tear up. Even if I am not emotional, if I cut onions, my eyes tear up. There is no God overflowing. What are you talking about? Ears are the seat for hearing. Hearing can happen only when there is space. Where there is no space, hearing doesn't happen. For that wavelengths of sound to travel, you need that space. You need that atmosphere. In vacuum, it doesn't travel. In Tattva Bodha, I had made this. When people say, Swamiji, inside is empty, whatever satsanga we hear, it just goes through one ear and gets out on the other ear. Now, if there is space in between the ears, something must be retained. But if nothing is retained, it only proves that between the ears there is only vacuum. Because in vacuum, sound doesn't travel. Therefore, Vedanta doesn't impact us. And jokes apart, space are the Dig Devata of the ear. Because in the presence of that alone, sound will travel. Eyes can see only when there is a source of light. Otherwise, the eyes do not function. Therefore, the source of light, which is Surya and Chandra, become the Adhisthana Devata of the Indriya. Similarly, each one of these Indriyas are presided over by those deities. And why are they called Devata? Dyotanat Devata. That which illumines is called Devata. I was in a car sitting in the back seat, and in the other car behind me there were Yuva Kendra members coming. This happened in Dallas. They found it funny. They captured the picture and they showed me. The sun was in such an angle that in the back seat when I was sitting, because of my baldness, it was reflecting perfectly as though there was no head, but it was a source of light. And they were having a laugh. I said, this proves that I am a Devata. Meaning what? Dyotanat, that which illumines, is called Devata. That which illumines. What do these Adhisthana Devatas do? In the eye, through the eye, presiding over the eye, they illumine the world of objects. Presiding in the ear, they illumine the world of sounds. Presiding in the nostrils, they illumine the world of smell. Presiding on the tongue, illumine the world of taste. Presiding in the skin, illumine the world of touch. Therefore, they are called Devata. And they are called Aditi. Aditir Devatamayi. At means to eat. Aditi. Who are the ones that are actually enjoying the world of objects? Are these Devatas? Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. We limit that expression only to, because that is how we have been trained, only to food. Just before eating food, we chant that shloka as a mantra and partake the food. For every indriya, that particular Vishaya Vastu is its food. Who is it being offered to? It is to that Devata who is presiding. Therefore, to the eyes, can I offer the forms which are not benevolent enough to be offered to those Devatas? Now, when you sit down and do puja, whenever we bring those fruits, unmindful, we bring straight from the bazaar, packed in that cover, and put it in front of Bhagavan. There is no cleaning done. You have to wash it, right? If somebody offers you food on your plate with the cover, wrapping, label, everything, and then throws it in front of you, you look at them. ये खाने के लिए बुला के ये क्या डाल दिया प्लेट में, right? The least that you can do. See, you have ordered for samosas, kachoris, and the chutney, and you have guests. What do? Do you put the package itself and say? You open all the packets, you put all of them, distribute them, put the chutneys also separately. Green chutney, lal chutney, sweet chutney, and then you put the kachori, samosa, whatever, and then dhokla, whatever you give, right? Somehow when giving to Bhagavan, we seem to forget it. The wrapper is also not removed. Forget about cleaning before offering. And nowadays, every fruit and apple and other things that you buy, they have stickers also. Would you offer that to Bhagavan? So what do? Remove the sticker, wash them clean, and then wipe them down, present it. How particular we are. That when dal is put in, katore mein do na. Why? It spreads and it goes on to the other food items. And if the logic is given, anyway inside everything will be mixed. क्या किच किच कर रहे हो? खाओ. No, we are so particular. Dosa is given, there is chutney and sambar, both have to come in two different katoris. Otherwise, the crispy dosa will become soggy dosa. So, when you offer something to Bhagavan, we take care to wash it, clean it, present it in a beautiful manner. Right? Similarly, everything that has to be offered to the eyes has to be qualified enough as an offering. Chata we shouldn't. Whatever is to be offered as sound to that devata, it has to be qualified enough to be an offering to that devata. Bhadram karne bhishrunuyama devaha Bhadram pashye makshabhiryatraha sthirairangai stuštuvagam sastanubihi. So initially, you qualify the things that have to be offered to the devata because they have to be of that pristine nature. Once you transcend the likes and dislikes, everything that you offer to that Bhagavan becomes divine. Once you offer it as Naivedya, what comes back from that Bhagavan becomes prasada. So the jiva cherishes with the prasada buddhi, not as the bhoga buddhi. Though many times, even in the prasada, we display our likes and dislikes. Oh, it has too much of sugar in it, it has too much of fat in it, it has too much of this. I don't like that prasada, give me only a little bit. And there are, on the contrary, there are those who, the moment you say prasada, you don't want a small portion of that Tirupati laddu. You want a big chunk. Why? Tasty. The point is, it has to be first offered to that divine, and then when you partake, it becomes prasada. That is how the jiva transcends likes and dislikes when you take it with the prasada buddhi. And because it is being offered to them and they illuminate, they are called devata. Who is the actual enjoyer of it? That devata, that presiding deity is the actual enjoyer of it. It is as though this jiva pushes those gods aside and grabs all that which is to be enjoyed for his own like and dislike. Even for these devatas that are presiding, who is their adhara? Without who they cannot function, is this substratum, yah pranaha, that which is the very prana of these devatas, that very life breath of these devatas is that which is expressing as this Hiranyagarbha. A very beautiful, poetically said. And that Paramatma, that very prana is residing as the very essence of your being. Understand it, realize it, abide in it, because this is that ultimate substratum. Nothing less, nothing more. We will read the ninth mantra, but see the meaning tomorrow. Yataschodeti suryah astam yatra cha gacchati. Page number 214. Oh, eighth one is missed. You are right. Anor aranyor nihito jata veda गर्भ इव सुभृतो गर्भिणीभिः दिवे दिव ईड्यो जागृवद्भिः हविष्मद्भिः मनुष्येभिः अग्निः ये तत्वै तत्. This is that supreme which you are searching for, which is the very essence of your being. Every time it is said it is the essence, we get confused. What do you mean by it is the core of your being, the very heart of your being, the very prana of your being, the very essence of your being? नींबू को निचोड़ते हैं तो उसका रस निकलता है, गन्ने को निचोड़ते हैं तो उसका रस निकलता है, इट्स एसेंस. How do I nichodify myself to find that essence? What do you mean by that? The example taken is beautiful, which we will further study tomorrow. Is just like in the wood, there is fire. Again, going back to Tattva Bodha, the forms, who is the Adhisthana Devata? Agni is the Adhisthana Devata. The wood is seen in this form of a chair. Remove the fire from it. What remains? No form. It turns out to be ashes. What holds it in this form is Agni. So, what is the essence of this form? Is verily that Agni. So, the example taken here is Aranyor. Aranyor is not the forest. They are talking about a technical word called Arani. Arani is a wooden cup. There are two wood cups, both made up of hardwood. Sorry, both made up of softwood. And then there is Mathani, a churner, a churning rod made of wood, that is made up of hardwood. So, the lower Arani, the upper Arani, the two wooden cups, in between there is a rod placed and then you hold it. To this Mathani rod, you tie a rope. Just like how you churn for butter from the buttermilk, you turn it and vigorously move it. There is one Brahmana holding before the yaga, one Brahmana holding the lower cup, one holding the upper cup and one churning it. As they churn, because of the friction, there is smoke. They start putting the fiber of cotton around the lower Arani. The cotton grabs that fire and that fire is taken and offered as the first offering into the fire pit, into the Yajna Kunda, and then you start the yaga. That is the process. Aranyoho nihitam. That which is hidden as the very essence of that piece of wood. Arani means piece of wood. Without that, the form is lost. That which holds that as its very essence, that which holds it in that form and shape is its essence. Remove that essence, it doesn't remain to be that vastu anymore. That is what we call as the essence of the being. The core of our being. No, don't start digging in. Why? You said go find the core of your being. When they say it is the prana, just like when the prana quits from this body, similarly, just when the essence quits this vastu, the body, mind and intellect, that remains no more the same. That is called the essence or the heart of it, the core of it, which we will see further discussion tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.